What the f are we doing?
You said to the ceiling?
Yeah, I went a little overboard last night. It was fine. Everything was fine, and now this.
This is becoming quite the project. So at minimum, we need to remove the bottom bunk so we can put our bikes in. We kind of have a suspicion that we're just gonna remove all of it entirely and just create something new. But involved in that would be removing the dinette and then creating a desk here. So I mean, it's so much work. That's months of work. So we're really trying to avoid that. In the meantime, in order to get this bottom bunk off, I have to completely remove this dinette because it's screwed in. All the screws are behind this little panel. So I have to remove that. And then hopefully we can detach the bunk and then everything will be all good. We can put that back in place. Okay, we're taking this bunk apart, which started with undoing some screws on top of this plywood. And now somehow we got to crawl in there and undo the screws from the wall. Our goal is to take this bottom bunk off without taking the top off to see if this is going to solve our storage needs. So these right here are the last screws we need in order to get the bottom bunk out. I mean, it's loose, but I don't know how we're gonna get it out of here.
It's your long flathead screwdriver.
I asked for a long flathead screwdriver and she brings me a spatula.
What? It's the same thing? This thing's like, it's a grilling one. It's really stout.
I mean, that'll probably work. Yes, it's ridiculous, I know, but it also surprisingly works. So this is what it looks like behind the dinette. We actually didn't find this out until today, but there's a light tucked back there. That's what all this wiring is. We're probably gonna have to rip all this out of there. Maybe we'll be able to keep the wiring for something. I imagine it's only 5 volts, so it probably can't power that much, but 5 volts could power a USB charger, for instance, so we'll see. Boy, these are tight in there. So it looks like I'm probably gonna have to take this off. This is currently live, so I should probably turn that off. Okay, so it's come down to the very difficult decision. We're just gonna have to pull the whole thing out of there. I don't think we can get the bottom bunk out without taking the top bunk out, which kind of sucks, honestly. But, you know, we talked about doing this. We talked about building a desk, some bike storage back there, and we kind of bought this with the intention of ripping out the bunks anyway, so might as well rip off the Band-Aid and get it started. Okay, last one. Definitely gonna need help with this one.
So this is really sketchy because I'm actively uninstalling the thing that is holding all of my weight up right now. It's like every screw I'm taking out, I see it flex a little bit more. I'm like, this is really stupid.
Okay, good news and bad news. So we got the plywood off the top and now it's only held in there by 2 screws. We got this front facade off, so it should make getting everything out of there a lot easier. However, we realized that this was screwed in from the outside. What? So to get that out, we're probably gonna have to cut through the screw. But at least it's more accessible now and I think it'll come out a lot quicker. So we're trying to take out all this trim and all this facade as cleanly as possible so we can reuse it if needed. Lucky for us, we have this back window, which is an emergency escape. You just take the screen off and you can come right through, and that's been really helpful for this part.
So as we suspected, there was 1 screw holding on to the top bunk, and it was screwed from the outside of the trailer.
We just had to kind of work it back and forth like this until it finally came out.
Look at how much room. It's so spacious.
What have we gotten ourselves into? And here it is. The entire back opened up, top to bottom. It's pretty wide open now. Crazy to see. Eventually, we're gonna take the dinette out and do one large desk that goes back here. The bikes will be stored vertically, most likely, right here. But yeah, we decided last night that if we were gonna do it, we're gonna do it big. So here we go. So this morning's task was to take out the bench. It seemed easy enough. We took out the other one and it just popped out basically. But it seems like this bench and this cabinet are intertwined, and in order to take this out, we basically have to take this thing apart. So I'm gonna try and leave this because I'd really rather we keep this, but it's just kind of like dominoes at this point. It kind of feels like we're gonna take the trailer apart entirely. So hopefully it doesn't come to that.
We might have bitten off more than we can chew, but we're hard-headed and determined, so we're gonna carry on.
Okay, so we got the dinette booth off. It's just exposed the opening of the shoe cabinet. So we're hoping to reuse this veneer, maybe stick it to a plywood or something, and put it back against here. Our plan generally is to have the desk butt up entirely to here and run almost the entire length of the wall, and then we'll both work at this desk. But there's a couple considerations. It has to be below this window. We have a hole here where wires are coming through, and then there's another hole on the other side where wires are coming through. And also this is gonna have a step down to the desk. So there's a couple little design things we need to figure out. So yeah, a lot of questions and not too many answers right now. So we're not sure yet what we're gonna use these wires for. So we're trying to leave as much length on them as possible. And then we're stripping the ends and capping them. And then we'll just leave them as is. Okay, and the demo portion is officially done. So we pulled out the two dinettes. They were pretty easy. And then by far the hardest part was pulling out the bunks. They were pretty much just rip it out as best we can without tearing out the wall. And if you can see, it's not quite done. We still need to pull this piece out. The screws are coming from the outside going in. So we think we're gonna need an oscillating multi-tool to cut the bolts off, and then we'll cut this guy off too.
So yesterday I took off all the cabinet doors, brought them inside, and then took off the hardware. I'll be prepping those another day, but today's task is sandpapering all the walls and every surface in the trailer that I'll be painting. This will take a while.
You said to the ceiling?
Yeah, I went a little overboard last night.
I thought we were gonna leave the ceiling.
Why not? Only live once, right?
Oh my god, we have to do this in a week before your dad gets here.
I know. I know. I know.
Okay.
So I'm having an existential crisis right now. We've hit the point of no return. I've already sanded pretty much all the cabinets, the walls, the ceiling. And I don't know why we've decided to do this project. It was fine. Everything was fine, and now this. one of the things we just noticed is that all of the wood is just stickers. It's a laminate covering a combination of different types of woods and MDF. We're sanding partially through it. We don't feel like peeling it off. Hopefully the paint sticks to it. I guess we'll find out soon enough.
So we generated so much sand and dust that the only way to get it out of the trailer is the leaf blower. So definitely gonna wear my mask and ear protection for this.
So I forgot to mention this yesterday, but I went ahead and sanded the edges of this plywood under the bed because I've noticed that our bed sheets were getting hung up on the corners because it was just so sharp. Keep that in mind if you're doing your renovation and you haven't like slept in it yet and you haven't noticed this. It's a very easy thing to do, especially when you got the sander out. So we've taped up the ground to kind of get a better feel for our layout to see if our design actually pans out in the space. This little area will be my desk. This area will be under storage with cabinet access to the front, and then this area will be Daniel's desk. Overall, we're gonna have a continuous desktop of around 8 feet 10 inches, which should be plenty for us to both work remotely from the road. In upcoming videos, we'll be showing our painting process for the interior as well as our design process and our construction